Hello everyone, we're here for the Destiny 2 Edge of Fate developer live stream. Year 1 Blink in the flesh, we in the building, you know the vibes. Hold on, let me make it a little bit more swagged out in here, you feel me? Oh yeah. Alright guys, we're in the live stream, what's happening? Feet. We got this full quality for you guys. I want to make sure that's full quality.
So Kepler's a place to and it's somewhere that even scientists traveled to a long time ago to research a dormant singularity. While living on Kepler, not only did they observe the collapse, they survived it.
Yo. Mysteries of Kepler.
Over time, the ideals of the scientific process they held to were enshrined in their culture, and they came to be known as the Ionians.
Ionies?
The Elixni House of Exile arrived during the Dark Age, weary from the Long Drift. They didn't invade Earth with the other Elixni houses. Instead, they sought a new home, which they found alongside the Ionians.
Whoa, they have jetpacks?
But the dark matter that permeates Kepler and that they converted into the ether they need to survive ended up being toxic. So when the Ionians failed to cure them, the house rose up under an Archon, claiming to be blessed.
Archon priest. Oh yeah.
Now, the House of Exile is full of zealots. And they'll stand opposed to the Guardian as they walk the winding pathways of Kepler, learning more about what called them there in the first place. Guardian's paracausal power acts as a catalyst for the normally corrosive force of dark matter. These new powers will allow them to unlock long sealed passageways for the Ionians as they make their way to the singularity at the core of the planetoid.
The singularity? So there's like a black hole?
Focused on building Kepler as more of a dungeon-like destination. It expands
I
on
see,
the
I see.
interconnected world design of places like the Leviathan or the Shattered Throne.
Oh, we're lagging.
As you fight your way across Kepler, you tap into dark matter abilities and unlock enemy tech that expands your navigation and aids you in combat. These are all about going places you would normally think are out of reach.
Matterspark has you turn into this wild ball of arc energy. It's like nothing we've done in Destiny before.
Metroid Prime.
The Mattermorph ability
That's kind of cool.
you
Mattermorph goes
you.
crazy. I like that.
With Relocator, you've essentially co-opted the Fallen's teleportation networks and can use it to cross gaps you wouldn't have even considered before.
So, yeah, I see.
It'll be the small tells, an open vent, a broken window, things you want to remember because you might be revisiting them later.
I see.
Abilities can be upgraded, so as you unlock new perks, you can chain them into your build crafting in clever ways.
What?
By far the most game-changing is one of Matterspark's upgrades. On Kepler, it lets you turn into Matterspark the same way you'd summon a sparrow, wherever and whenever. It will optimize not only exploration, but also combat on future playthroughs in super creative ways. There are tons of cool
Can we use
combinations.
Matterspark in regular Destiny 2
Mattermorph,
activities?
and to path up toward the sky, and then in mid-air, leap into Matterspark to dash across the arena and arc chain a group of enemies.
The team has already seen players pairing abilities with different exotic perks and aspects to create some really crazy builds.
We know this is only the beginning and can't wait to see
This
what
is only the
happens once
beginning.
players get their hands on this kit.
A year? Year of Prophecy Ultimate Edition. Edge of Fate. Available 7-15-2025.
All right. Hello, welcome to Bungie, and welcome to our Destiny 2 Edge of Fate live stream. This will be the first live stream that we have leading into launch. Big shout out to the folks that we had on our Dev Insight video. We were just talking about Kepler, destination abilities, some of the secrets of Kepler and the Aeonians, but we're going to leave that for a later date for you to discover. Today we're going to be talking a bunch about Sandbox. We have a bunch of core feature updates with Armor 3.0, gear tiering, some new loot for you to grind out, and a bunch of cool things to show. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Let's get to it.
Panel of developers.
We got the squad here.
Some of them are new, some of them you've seen before. But yeah, let's start out with Eric. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking, Dylan.
Yeah. For folks that maybe haven't seen you on a previous live stream where you've talked about burst weapons and all the cool ability stuff, who are you? What do you do?
Sure. I'm Eric Smith, gameplay lead on Destiny 2, and I'm excited to dive into our sandbox changes.
Awesome. Vivian, hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream format. We've seen you on Vidocs from time to time, but yeah, for folks that haven't met you, seen you on our Vidocs, Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Vivian Bex. I'm a sandbox designer on Destiny. I get the privilege of making like a lot of the toys that players get to use, like weapons and stuff. Recently, I've kind of been all over the sandbox team, and I have some very exciting stuff to show today. I'm really excited.
Man. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. And last but not least, end of the couch, Bjorn. Taylor Bjorndal. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be
Who
here.
are you? What do you do here?
Looks like Jason Jones' son right here.
Associate weapons designer, sandbox designer. I've also bounced around and done a lot of stuff. Excited to talk about all of the million things we changed.
Yeah, right. I think the last time we had you on the couch, we were talking grid skipper roles and things like that.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah.
Grid skipper.
As we're diving into this, we have quite a bit to go through in the show. And
Homie's
to
been on hiatus.
The shooting range. We're going to have our gameplay specialist going through, showing you some of the new weapons, some of the new ability or exotics.
I want to make sure I'm getting my
but this will be
my
playing in the
Twitch drop,
background. You'll
guys.
see them tuning a couple different
Let's see here.
enemies. 3.0. Eric, if we can talk about where did we start with?
So if you
it?
guys
Where
are
was it back in the
wanting
day?
to know
Where
if
are
you're
we
getting your
going?
Twitch
Have a little
drop, make
vision
sure your
for our
Twitch
changes.
account
So when Destiny 2 launched,
is with
we
Destiny.
had armor in the
So
game,
yeah,
but there were 3 stats. There were no mods available, and then with
I'm at
Shadowkeep,
9. I have 9
we
more
hit
minutes.
Armor 2.0, where we added 3 additional stats for a total of 6, and armor mods as well. And this is the next evolution for the new saga of Destiny 2. In
The new
Armor
saga,
3.0,
guys.
we are adding, or we're reworking the stats. We're adding set bonuses, and we are adding gear tiers as well.
Yeah.
The kind of the goals with Armor 3.0. So
Gear
one,
tiers.
wanna make
We
armor
already know a
more
lot of this
exciting and
stuff, guys.
desirable. When's
This
last
is just
time
the,
you saw a
firing
armor
range?
dropped and you were thrilled to go pick it up and see what was inside. And then we want to rework the stats to make sure no stat is left behind, no stat feels mandatory, and give you further depth of build crafting in your armor rules, essentially.
Yeah. And then an underlying goal as well that I've seen you execute upon, and the team really, is approachability. There are a lot of new UI tools where you're hovering over perks, stats, all that kind of stuff. You're seeing actual percentages. You're seeing more full descriptions for things, helping newer players or returning players get reacquainted
Helping
with
the newer
sandbox.
players and returning players.
Yeah,
That's
in
right.
this release and in coming releases, we are absolutely focusing on making the game easier to digest and understand what's going on. And this, looking at the shooting range here, is a great example of this. Where I can just go and see how much damage I'm doing, and test out my weapons, test out these builds, and see the
We needed
actual
this for
changes
so
that
long,
my
guys.
new
We're all
armor and
testing
whatnot
out
is
damage
giving.
numbers
Yeah,
on
you can load in
walls
here
and
with a
stuff.
full Fire Team of 6 if you want to check out raid boss damage, or just come in here by yourself if you're on Discord talking friends.
Oh, raid boss
showing you
damage.
stuff.
Nice.
So let's really quick talk about stats. This is one of the major overhauls. A couple things are being added. Really quick, if you could get a quick scroll through some of the stats, go ahead and give us.
Yeah. So we've removed some stats. We've removed resilience. We've removed recovery.
Mobility.
Yes, and mobility. So instead, starting from the top, we got health. Then we have melee and grenade, super, class, and then our weapon stat. So this is an entirely new suite of stats, does different things. All of our stats now, instead of going to 100, they go to 200. So
Dang,
once you go above
200?
100, you
That's
get
crazy.
an additional benefit put on top of the 0 to 100 benefit. And these, on the ability side, we are giving you kind of your uptime and how much
It's gonna be
energy you're
broken when it
getting in
first
the,
comes out, I already
0
know.
to 100 range, and then the 100 to 200 range, we're increasing.
Somebody's
things
gonna
like
figure out a
damage,
way
things
to
like survivability,
make this so
which
broken.
is somewhere we've never really, gone into, and it's going to really give players more tools to customize their build, kind of pinpoint a single, I'm gonna be this badass grenade thrower that's just doing shit tons of grenade damage, or I could be more defensive or more weapon focused and all of this, right?
Yeah, we haven't had a weapons stat before, and it's sometimes been you'd have to hook into the artifact to make a true weapons build, and we've kind of pushed further into that world.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I think we saw some questions specifically about the weapon stat and PvP. I know y'all have been balancing in the PvP, making sure this is kind of like cherry on top. It doesn't change the time to kill too much, but it's kind of like a cost balancing factor, right? If you want that extra damage, you lose out on grenades, things like that.
Sure, yeah. So if you want to go all in on weapons, your weapons are going to be more potent than they were before, but it's at the expense of your other abilities and that sort of thing. So we have done extensive testing to make sure we're not breaking PvP. That said, you know, in the first day that this comes out, the amount of hours being put into this by genius members of the community
This
is
guy's
going to
doing
dwarf
that
what we've
crazy
done.
DPS.
So it's a little bit scary how much.
Kind of weird how
we've
the
actually
health bar's
put
not
into
going
this.
down.
Teams worked so
I'd like to
hard
see the
across
health bar
entire
go down.
game. You know, everything
Can't
you hear
really
today
tell
is
what's
it's
going
not
on.
apples to apples with the pre-Edge of Fate numbers and feel of the game. It really across the game we have just changed so much.
It's very different. It's not really easy to compare the experience of what's going to be in the next release to what people are playing right now.
But at the same time, it still feels like Destiny.
Yeah, it's that
like
quintessential feel of I got my gun, I have my abilities, but now it's how much agency do I have in leaning into some of these things and embracing like.
Oh, it's gonna be like you're gonna care more about what kind of armor you get. You guys know, you're gonna care more about the drops you get. The loot's gonna matter now, guys. That's basically what they're
The
saying.
sandbox is really exciting. There's a lot of really specific builds you can do. Like if you want to be the melee guy, you can be the melee guy more than ever before, right?
See?
And it's. I think we're gonna see some really crazy stuff.
Speaking of embracing some of
See,
these
they already
different
know.
blades,
They're gonna see
we
some
actually
broken
have
stuff
3
right
new
now.
exotics coming with the Edge
Like-
of Fate. Each class is going to get 1 new
They
exotic.
they already
each
know this is
embrace
gonna
a
be
different sort of
downright
vibe or
broken
theme.
when it comes
And,
out.
Yeah,
But
you
they
can see
want
them on
that
screen. I
because
think
it's gonna bring a
first
lot of people
We're
in.
going to start with the Warlock exotic, and Bjorndal, you have all the details.
Sure. Yeah, so first we have Yunoya, which is Warlock exotic themed around the Hellion aspect.
Yeah, we've already
What this does is after your Hellion fires,
we've already seen these
after a certain
guys,
amount of time, the projectile's going to
these
shatter
exotics.
into a bunch of submunitions.
So
that will, like,
this
seek
live stream kind
nearby
of basically going
units
over a lot
and
of
scorch
stuff we
them.
already
And
know.
so it kind of like adds
But
a
I
little
guess
bit of like skill play.
the developers
want
wanna
to
tell you about it.
More of a passive aspect in the past.
Yeah, and I think in the shooting range we can see like it can be both a single target or a group sort of ad clear exotic, right?
Yeah. It can kind of.
But you never know. Some people might not know this stuff, you know? Maybe new people that are barely just got into Destiny maybe a day ago or something, you know? Maybe getting back into it. So this is a good video for them
Because it like splits in mid-flight. You can kind of like control
to
your
see
spacing
what
to, like,
we'll
control
be
the grouping
actually
of it.
getting
If you wanna
with
hit
the
one
update
target,
and stuff.
You know, if you're at the right
A little bit
distance, you'll hit all
closer.
5. Yeah, and they'll like burst way earlier than before. Or if you like get way back, you can just blanket a region.
Love it. Yeah, and we can see on the screen too, like some of the looks
So,
of the
yeah.
exotic and the Hellion.
Let's see how many people are watching right now, guys.
Like, while you're using the exotic,
How many viewers has
the
Bungie
Hellion
got?
Itself, like the
65K.
Silver Buddy
Not
will have
not
the
bad, you
same
know?
X that the gauntlets do. So it's like a nice little nod to like match the exotic.
Love it.
Not that bad. They
So
didn't
metal. I'm, like,
use
so
no
having that, like,
advertising
gas
really for
canister
this.
on my arm, having that like flamethrower warlock arm is so cool. I may have to start switching play warlock.
Love it. Next
Why
up,
would you
I
be
believe
playing
we
the
have
hunter?
on docket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the hunter exotic is Morai, which is a strand-themed exotic that's.
We need a new
about
class.
your
They
third
need to
spike
start
and
bringing
tangles,
hella
where you
classes
basically,
to
like,
this
yo-yo
game, bro.
a tangle from
I'm
out in the
tired of
field
just
back in your
hunters,
hand,
warlocks,
throw
and
it again.
titans.
So the way this works is if you have a tangle out in the field, you throw your strand hunter melee at it, it'll pop the tangle, and then bring one back to you that if you catch the spike, you'll get another tangle. So you can like duplicate the tangle, which works really well with a lot of strand hunter aspects like Whirling Maelstrom and just like the existing tie-in with like grappling to a tangle.
Oh, that's kind of tight. Like
will get, like even more
like an infinite loop.
mobility
You get like an
and a lot
infinite
of,
loop
like, ad clear
playstyle
potential.
right there.
And also it will return more energy when you catch it as well.
There's
So,
the
like,
new
even if
exotic
you
hand cannon,
don't do
guys.
anything or you don't grab a tangle, so it helps
Arc
you
one.
keep that engine going.
Yeah, you can see the strand energy.
You guys can see it's
attached
like
to
a
the threaded
infinite
spike.
loop.
So if you grab that, I love how we're rewarding that.
Oh
like,
wow! Then you got the
perfect grab.
Beyblade going out there.
You can already hear people yelling "spin to win" as they're
Yeah.
spanking these things, right?
Yeah, I mean you can have 3 Beyblades out in the field at any time. Essentially, it's
Beyblades.
Between the
See, they
tangles,
even
grappling
said it,
is
bro.
hell.
It's very
Let's
strong. It's also gonna be very
go.
strong with this artifact
Oh, yes.
upcoming, which we'll talk about. But another cool tidbit about this is it will the threaded spike will bounce to the tangle from.
Honestly,
enemies.
Strand,
So
I feel like is the
something
most
that,
interesting
has a
subclass
lot of
they've ever
easy
made.
use, and
The way they-
really rewards skill at the same time.
Yeah, I think before we move
They
on,
did, I think, a little bit
sorry,
better
James,
on
we'll get
Strand
to you
than
in a
they did
second.
Prismatic
Really
for
cool
sure.
exotic. I do want to talk about Gambler's Dodge. In the last TWID, we talked about a bunch of abilities changes, exotic tuning, that kind of stuff. And we saw some chatter around Gambler's Dodge. It was updated and reworked, right?
Yeah, we have reworked Gambler's Dodge. So it's the energy you get when you dodge. It now scales on your melee stat. But you no longer have to dodge near enemies to get that energy. So I can dodge anywhere in the game. I don't have to worry about this invisible circle that's around me to know if I'm close enough. It is going to feel more consistent. If I build into melee, it's going to feel more powerful. There's also, Taylor, you were talking about the multiple charges, right?
So if you, like our bar for a lot of this stuff is if you are at 70 stat, you'll get the full refund like you used to. But if you go beyond that, you'll actually get a little bit more, which most of the time doesn't matter. But like if you're using like a Fiddy Spade or any of the multi-melee things or Stasis Shurikens, it'll go up to like 1 1/3 charges. So you can keep that going even better.
Just keep
if
it
you're
going.
fully invested in melee.
They're just
So
showing you
more
some
reasons
little hacks that you guys can
to
do
invest in it. If you want more
when
melees,
the
you want them to
stuff
do more
actually
damage,
drops, so
you
you
just
guys
go
can
all
have a
in
little
on
head
that.
start,
And
you
it'll
know?
still do
Like just so many shurikens,
Yeah.
just an embarrassment of shurikens.
Like
which
they're
is
already
great,
showing
like,
you cool
Freeze
builds.
everything in front of
you know?
me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then I won't be bothering you and saying, don't kill this thing, let me do my dodge.
Yeah,
anytime.
you can just do it wherever you want.
So let's go on to Titans. So this one thematically, I think, for me at least, I'm just like, you're a Forge Master.
Yeah. So this is Melis Panoplia, which is an
A hard
exotic
name to say.
Yeah.
As we get deeper into Destiny, the names get a little. Yeah, but go ahead.
It's it's an exotic themed around something that people.
It's like
have been asking
Yu-Gi-Oh!
for
The
a
farther
long
you get in
time, which is
Yu-Gi-Oh!,
kind
the
of
names get more
fantasy of
crazy.
Thor's hammer. I want to be able to pull my hammer back to me.
You
after
guys
I
need to
throw
do a
it.
collaboration with Pokemon or
So
Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something.
there's like a little
What's
mini
going
game
on
loop
here?
here where you get a fire sprite, you pick it up, then you get a buff that lets you pull the hammer back to you. And if you pull the hammer back with good timing, it'll explode and do
Ooh.
like solar shrapnel and hit stuff for like extra damage on the way back.
That's
kind of like how
tight.
hammer saw works, and I think the hammer also will damage things on the return trip too. So if you position yourself well, you can actually like send it back through guys.
Line 'em
and
up.
get back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've wanted to do this for a long time, but it's been kind of a scary,
Complicated.
Yeah, it's hard to balance.
It's hard to
this sort of
balance,
thing where
bro,
it's like
without it being too
returns
broke
all your
here.
energy,
With all the
but it
cheaters out there,
also-
you know?
You can pull it back to it at any time. So Alex, our designer, really knocked
They
it out of
can't
the
do
park
nothing
as
about
far
that,
as,
though, really. I mean, they can, but
so
it's
well,
like
the balance and
the whole
activator
gaming industry is
and
plagued by
the
cheaters, so
performance. Yeah, the performance.
Yeah. You were talking about the animation, right?
the only way you could take
I love
them
the
out is if
performance
you
on
got
this
year
thing.
one
I love-
blink in
we've
the
got, like,
lobby.
this beat
Just
where it's like all
wrecking
this
them.
magnetic like handshaking. It feels so good. We actually did like a new tech thing on this where if you're like looking off to the side, we kind of move the player's hand a little bit, so you're like still kind of actually pulling the hammer. And that's like the first time we've done that with like a world object, and it's very cool. It feels really good.
Awesome.
It's super satisfying.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to be getting into some more gameplay and an actual activity in a minute. But before we go, I do want to ask for stats. And actually, two things. With your exotics, there are going to be gear bonuses that you can build on top of, correct? And that's a new Armor 3.0 feature.
Yeah, so gear bonuses when a new armor set drops. If you have 2 or more pieces from that armor set, you will get an additional perk. If you have 4 or more pieces from that armor set, you will get another perk on
That's
top of
kind
that.
of cold,
So
man.
I could take 2
If you
pieces
use
from
the
one
full,
set,
if
2
you use
pieces
the
from
full
another
set, you're
and
gonna
then
have
an
so
exotic.
much
And
fucking
I have
perks.
like more perks than I've ever had before on my Guardian, and it's really enables you to expand your build crafting in new ways.
Yeah, I
It makes
think
it exciting.
we have an example of this in the build right now. If gameplay specialists could inspect an armor piece, you can see. Yeah, here's some of the destination
Dang.
armor bonuses that you can get.
So look at
So at
Ion
2
Renewal.
pieces, we have Force
You get
Converter.
2-piece
At
Force
4
Converter.
pieces, we have a Reactive Booster. And sorry, go for it, Vivi.
I don't like how
gonna
they're
say,
doing
like,
the
yeah,
the
these are
blue
unique
words
to
in there
the
though. It
armor
kind of
set
confuses
itself.
me.
Something more than just like
Like, is this for
cosmetics that you might want out
PvP,
of
for
these.
PvE?
Gives you
Like,
another
what's going
reason
on
to
here?
like go to
Right.
a specific place and pursue a specific armor set besides just fashion. Although fashion is still very
Well, just
You
keep
can
the
build,
text
use
white.
Your armor synthesis and
Yeah.
put the looks on these.
Yeah, and I mean,
I don't like
we also
these
get to
green
make perks
text,
that are like,
yellow
I'm
text.
The this guy.
I don't know
you
what that's all
because you're
about.
investing so heavily in the four-piece perk.
I'm from
But
Destiny
what's
1.
really cool about this is like I think this is going to be very cool at live when we like launch. But I think in like 2, releases or whatever, just a little bit in the future, we're going to see people go like, "Hey, remember that armor
Yeah.
that I
Mixing,
got?"
like something from 2 seasons ago.
Right,
with
the
now.
2-piece perk from Kepler is really cool with whatever,
Yeah.
and we're really excited about that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then the second piece of this is going to be for the stats rework. Some of the fragments are going to be reworked as well to adopt new stats or change, right?
Yeah, so fragments still can adjust your stats up or down depending on your build. And some of these, because we've deprecated some of our perks, or stats rather, some of these are new. Like we're going to have, some of these will have weapon stat, which never have.
Bro, you guys' game is so grindy. Just let us unlock all the freaking aspects and subclasses.
We're gonna kind of wait and see how this lands, how the dust settles for all of the stat stuff before we go in and adjust these further. But yeah, I think players have a lot of different ways to build out their stats and become the grenade master, the weapon master, and whatever they want to do.
So, quick shout out, Dark Slifer, Childish CG, and Snivvyland for those last 2 questions. They actually asked them ahead of time. Feel free to keep dropping questions in chat. I'm glancing down here every so often. Now it is time to move on, and let's talk about some new stuff. Vivian, you have been very excited
the
about
new
the
stuff,
weapon
guys.
archetype that is coming with
It took
the
them 20 minutes. Not just joking.
Sure. For centuries, humanity has wondered, like, what would a legendary bow look like in the heavy slot? And today I have your answer. For Edge of Fate, we are building a crossbow. It plays like a new archetype, but it is technically a bow for the purposes of, it's gonna fill all your bounties, that kind of stuff. Now, so when we went to go make this, we knew it was a very cool fantasy, right?
So it's like
We want the
Crisis,
feeling
huh?
of, like, really drawing it back and it hitting a single target and doing a ton of damage. But we do have linear fusion rifles, right? And that's always the question, is like, what does this do that's different? What's the fun gameplay here? And we settled on, well, when you shoot that big heavy bolt and it hits your target, you can just go pick it back up. So this thing theoretically is a heavy weapon with unlimited ammo. You can use the same bolt for an entire nightfall if you want. I would love to see someone do that. Go clear a dungeon without ever using anything else or whatever, It's very cool. You have to put yourself in danger, you have to go grab it, but it's just such a satisfying loop to just like pull it out of some, dead hive, just put it in the rail, pull it back, use the same bolt to shoot someone else. It's great.
I saw last week in a PvP playtest, I saw someone run the entire map with a single bolt, and they just kept it alive for minutes on end.
That was me. I'm sorry.
I can hear the PvP mans, like, when you said infinite heavy ammo, they're like, excuse me?
Yeah,
but it's like, you gotta go
You
pick
gotta
that
go
thing up.
get it. Yeah. So it's not free, but it is very potent.
Yeah, and in PvP, you only get the one. You gotta get the headshot.
Yeah.
And it's very funny. It
somebody's
ends up
calling me.
being like this game of like keep away, where you're like, we cannot let Taylor get near this thing.
So as we're going into this activity, we'll get some gameplay footage. This is a good example of the portal system that we'll be talking about next week.
There's the new
on
gun,
July 1st.
the
Make sure
new
to tune in.
crossbow,
But we're gonna be
linear
taking
fusion
some
rifle.
content from just the history of Destiny, and it will be in the portal to go in and play.
Gameplay
Power
right here,
progression.
exclusive,
we'll be talking
guys.
about that next week, so stay tuned for that. Vivian, back to the heavy crossbow though. You were talking about this being legendary, so that means random rolls,
Yep.
and you had mentioned bolts.
Yes, yeah.
That thing
So we had a
looks
really
kinda
fun opportunity
nasty.
when we were making this, where we go to the talent grid.
I might start
and,
using
we always wanna
crossbows
make
now,
stuff that looks
guys.
New and different. And we got to the talent grid and we were like, this thing does not have a magazine. We cannot put magazines on this, right? And it gave us the opportunity to like really go, what would like a different magazine plug system look like? And so what we ended up going for is like, we have bolt types. And the bolt types, instead of just being stats, they're going to alter the way the bolt actually behaves out in the world.
Yeah.
So we've got, one of them is like explosive bolt, where it's gonna put in a target, it'll like beep, 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 and it'll just explode. Kind of like a grenade launcher. And then we have, my personal favorite is that we have serrated bolts. I remembered to say the shipping name this time.
Oh, you can say, yeah.
used
If
to
it
be
doesn't have
tactical.
3 names, it's not real game dev.
I never know when things go live. I never know. I'm like, you guys know better than I do
But
the
yeah,
names.
go ahead.
But yeah, so we have serrated bolts, and you can put like the bolt in a target with serrated bolts, and you can normally draw them back out of living targets, but if you have serrated bolts, they're gonna deal damage on the exit too. And it is so satisfying to like land the final hit with the pull, and you just pull back your bolts and you get them, and they just go.
Gameplay
flying.
not
I'll
final,
take that,
subject
man.
to change.
Yeah, when you first brought this up, I was just like,
They
that's
just
so
changed the whole
metal.
thing.
Yeah, gimme.
It's something.
Really quick, just on the topic of ammo.
They're
there are
like, we
new
gotta
ammo
cut
meters.
it.
Bjorn, we were going to talk about this in the firing range, shooting range. But we actually have some live gameplay where we can see these meters working out. Can you talk us through what is this new system? How does it work? That kind
I
of
gotta
stuff.
plug my phone in.
Yeah, so there's been a pretty big shakeup in the way that ammo works in the game, where in the past it wasn't really anything that you had too much control over, but now it is something that you have like a lot of control over and a lot of build crafting hooks to optimize or like make your own. And it almost like kind of works like an ability or like a super does now, where it lives in your weapon tray. You can see there below the weapons on kills and assists with anything that'll tick up. And then when you hit full, the next kill will drop you a brick of that type. So there's a lot of things you can do now that you can build into to like have a lot more control over the pacing of when you're getting that.
Sweet.
And like there's a bunch of armor mods that exist now that like pretty much all the things that used to be finders or inventory now fit into ammo generation, which is like a new weapon stat. So players have a lot of different ways to kind of build around that, depending on like, you know, if you have a really ammo hungry special weapon, then you have some options now to actually make that easier to feed.
And we'll be talking about this in depth in a future Twitter blog, so stay tuned for that, especially PvP heads. I've already seen conversation from our content creator videos going out. But before we get out of combat, I do want to talk about, alongside the new weapon archetype of the crossbow, we have some new weapon frames coming to the game.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, let's start with the hand cannon.
All right, yeah, so we have the spread shot hand cannon. It's like a big, chunky, beefy hand cannon that fires shotgun pellets. Very close range, but hard hitting. Can two-tap PvP. I'm a little afraid of that, but
Two-tap
you know,
PvP.
I'm sure it'll be great.
Range, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's very limited. It's like a sidearm, like big punchy sidearm, but like even less range than a sidearm, but like less precision reliant.
This thing has become my baby in
Yeah,
PvP. I love this thing.
It's pretty great.
It's kind of like having like a sawed-off
Yeah.
that's like a primary ammo, and it is just so good if you play aggressive or you use like other abilities to hit people.
It's
or
really
just
good
want
as like a
to-
mixer in between other stuff.
Right, and that's exactly how I play, so I love this thing.
And second, so shout out to Sammy Cat, resident bow lover. She does full solo dungeons, HUD off, bows only. We have a new bow frame that's going to be coming.
Yeah, so we made a longbow, which is like a big, heavy war bow. Even slower draw than precisions, but more damage, and it has intrinsic over penetration. So if you line up a bunch of thrall and you like hip fire a full draw, it'll just go straight through all of them with one shot.
I love that our damage numbers have been squished a little bit, so they actually mean something now. Because if you look at how much damage this bow is doing compared to like each one of those pellets in the hand cannon,
Right.
Like when like in the live game where it's like I did 20,000 damage with this, I was like,
Yeah,
the
it's hard
numbers-
to compare.
Yeah, start to be
Right.
meaningless. But for me, we've just changed so much, and I can't overstate like how. Yeah, how much has changed and how this game is I guess evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those changes are like, they go hand in hand, right? Like us changing the stats around, you know, us making new builds possible. A lot of these changes are all like, they're all going to kind of combine to create something new.
Yeah. Did you see that front shielded ogre? With
boy.
we have a new. We'll talk about this next week.
Yeah.
But the new Banes are incredible. I'm very excited for players.
Oh boy, yeah.
play with
New banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff. And then the final weapon we got on tap is going to be a special weapon, another burst, shoots explosives.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So I know a lot of people are big fans of rocket-assisted sidearms. Now we have a rocket-assisted frame pulse rifle. So it fits a similar role, but a little bit different. It's a little more ammo hungry than the sidearms. Got a bit more range and hits a bit harder. So it kind of fits in between like a fusion rifle.
For doing a Dave Samuel impression there.
I aspire to greatness.
Yeah.
This thing is like real cool. It's real heavy, but it's also like, like we said, it's like pretty ammo hungry. One of the cool things about 900 is like we have the ammo stat. You can build into that. You can eliminate that downside, and now you can see it working.
Yeah, same for the longbow too. Like there were some perks on the random rolls that you can go in, lessen the draw time. Like sure, it's still going to be a little bit slow fiery, heavy hitting, but there's a bunch of ways that you can build craft and tune these things to feel good for your playstyle.
Like you have like one for all or other things that care about hitting multiple targets.
Yeah, right. So as we're going through this transition, we actually have a bunch more to cover, and gear tiering has been top of mind for a lot of players ever since our reveal stream. So Eric, I'd love to dive in and just revisit what's the high-level vision statement for gear tiering and how we're getting players reinvested in some of that.
Yeah, so gear tiering enables players to look at a piece of gear at a glance and like understand how powerful it is. So you can see those kind of 5 icons or 5 little dots there. This is a 5th tier armor piece we're looking at. And
I see.
The stat package or the stat pool that each piece gives is going to depend on the tier. So you can see at tier 1 is going to drop between 52 and 57 stat totals. And
tier 5 has the
5,
best stat
you're
rolls.
guaranteed 75 stats plus stat tuning, which lets you kind of add some.
Yeah, shout out to, there were a bunch of folks that were asking, what are stat bands? Because in the game right now, it's what is low to a given player. Like 62 feels low, but an actual definition is like 58 or lower.
Yeah.
In the game now, we have UI that tells you exactly what are the stat bands for each of the tiers, so you know what you're looking for as you're trying to build to 200 or 150 or whatever you're looking for.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I love that we did this because this is the most common question I get in my clan that I answer, and I love that you can just go see it now.
Yeah, having information in game is great. I think the biggest thing about this is that because the bands are a lot narrower, you have a much better expectation of what you're getting like before you even start the activity. So, like I know a lot of people like you go into a master dungeon to farm some artifice armor, and you don't know if you're going to get like 55 or 70. Yeah, it's like an extremely wide range, but like that takes a lot of time and effort to get through. So now it's just like you're going into like the toppest end difficulty thing to get tier 5s. You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
So it's significantly more likely that when you get your drop, it's going to be something valuable. It might not be valuable to your exact build, but it will be valuable. It'll be the stats total that you want.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, and with the new portal system, which we'll talk about next week, you're gonna have a goal.
So if you want tier 5 loot,
you want to hit to get that exact.
if you want tier 5
piece,
loot, guys,
like
you're gonna have to play the super hard
targeted
activities.
farming or more targeted. If I want to chase a certain thing,
What about the
like,
Crucible
I know
people?
what I have to do to get it.
What if we
and
want
when it
tier
drops,
5
I know
loot?
what it's gonna give me, as far as the total value, right?
Yeah.
And it's just much more clear and exciting. So.
And go ahead.
I really like, we're mousing over here, the armor archetype. We now like display what things are going to be high on it and what things are going to be low. And they're like a little further apart where things are going to be spikier now. And so like, if you want to really max out stats, you can just look for that, emblem. You'll know what your armor is kind of like going to be good at. And it's like,
You can see that like at your main inventory level too. So you're just like mousing over like, oh, I just got a bunch of drops. What did I get? Cool. Is it gunner? Is it grenadier?
Right.
Like what is the thing that I want? You can use that as like a quick reference rather than needing to go all the way into inspection and see like the exact stats.
And the last detail on tier 5 for armor, we mentioned this in the reveal stream, but you can get to 11 energy for your armor. So it helps with build crafting. You can get more of those armor mods slotted and that kind of stuff.
it goes to 11 now.
Yeah, right.
It
So
does
switching
better,
over to
yeah.
weapons, though, I would love to. We have some examples of tier 1, tier 3, and tier 5 weapons to show what is that progression looking like.
Yeah, similarly, when a weapon drops, I'm able to just glance at it and be like, oh, tier 1 weapon, it's going to have base stats, it's going to have a limited perk pool there. But then you can see at tier 3, we now have 2 enhanced traits. We have some of our columns are going to have more perk options in them.
I
And then
see.
tier
Even the guns have
5,
tiers on them.
Yep, so this is a tier 3. And then tier 5 is going to have even more. Like, look at the options here. And so much enhancement. And
Yeah,
we
tier
have
4 you get the enhanced weapon mods too.
right.
Yeah, kind of like how armor is like you have a much better understanding of like when I'm starting an activity, what is the expectation of the things I'm getting. This like the multi-perk and the enhanced perks kind of work for that too. So the odds of you getting that like specific god roll or multi-god roll, if you're looking for like the combo PvP, PvE weapon,
Multi-god
are a
roll.
lot higher than like in past activities where you're just getting, okay, I'm going to get one
There's a
adept with
multi-god
one
roll.
trait in each column.
Yeah, and we're adding a lot of depth. Like as we were hovering over those enhanced perks, they have additional things that they can do, whether it be stats or power for the perk. We're putting all of these details into the game so people know as they're getting into this depth, they can hover over these things, understand all the different stats. We'll, of course, have blog components. We'll have some guides that our players make, our creators make. We'll blast those out. But we're hoping to bring more of these sorts of things into the game to make it easier to understand. So,
Yeah, that said, if you have a great weapon drop that, dropped this season or 5 seasons ago, if it's a good roll, it's a good roll. Like it's, just because it doesn't necessarily adhere to the tier system doesn't mean it is not equal or greater value in some
yeah, there was this really funny reference that Mactix made, one of our creators, where he had this beautiful giant sword, and he's like, this is what I got today, and it has perfect rolls for a rocket launcher, et cetera, and here's my new tier 1 weapon that doesn't really have good perks. Like, what are you going to use?
Yeah.
So to answer the question, Shadow on Blue Sky was asking, are my weapons that I have right now or armor, like, is that going to be viable in high-end content? And the answer is, of course. There are going to be a couple things in here that add incentive to try out new things, but Vivian, you had kind of framed it as a cherry on top, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like a way to, in the past, sometimes like the best way to get your
Well,
path
as
to
long as
power
our old
was, like, to
stuff
do
is
a
still
lot of
good,
something,
this new stuff
but now if
doesn't
you
make
do
it
really
where
hard activities as well,
multi-god
we're also just
rolls.
kind of
What the
rewarding
hell?
you for the time there.
Yeah. So right at the
Talk
nine.
about future gear stuff in relation to this.
Yeah,
That's a
we
new
will in a second,
vocabulary
but,
for me,
I just
bro.
wanted to touch on right at the nine. Some folks were asking, like, what do these equate to in the tier system? And when you get an adept right at the 9 weapon, both of your columns are enhanced, all that kind of stuff. Like, it looks like a tier 3. It's going to feel like a tier 3 for a while. So there is a good handshake as you're going into Edge of
So I
Fate.
kind of see where Destiny's going.
But yeah, the
It's
last thing
just
for tier
become
5
a
gear, I
loot
would like to show the cosmetic
frenzy
treatment
game.
that we've been doing. We showed this in the reveal stream, but tier 5s have an awesome new
Everybody
shader
does
treatment
all
and
this
also
stuff for
kill
loot,
effects.
the activities,
Yeah,
everything.
so these basically on the weapons
For their
they'll
pretty
come with,
looking
like,
gun to customize it, to make it
fancy
feel the way
shader
they
on
want,
it,
you
and
know.
then something almost kind of similar to what we do with Sweaty Confetti, but now it's like a specific slot where it gets a custom kill effect that only comes on the tier 5 variant.
Yeah, and you can see with gear tiering, it's kind of learning a bunch of lessons through the years of Destiny. Like, kill effects are really cool. Players like this. Now we have a new slot for it. Players really like hollow foils as a chase in the game right now, and now we have tier 5s where you get sort of a hollow foil style treatment for it. So it's been really cool to watch y'all develop this over time. But to your point, this actually is a good segue into the next section where we're talking about new and featured gear and our artifact. So Eric, if you want to take the stage,
Sure.
What is new or featured gear?
Yeah, so our new gear, when we drop new weapons and armor for a season or for a release, that is going to get a bonus. It's going to be a little bit stronger than your other options. So on the armor side, you are going to get a damage resistance bonus per piece you have equipped, and that is, it kind of scales by gear tier. So if I have 5 tier 1 armor pieces, I'm going to have 5% damage resistance against, everything.
Even PvP?
But if I have 5 tier 5 gear pieces, I'm going to have 15% damage versus everything. So I guess, yeah. So it is something that allows me to have a little bit of an edge. It's a very small amount. It's a min-max sort of situation where if I wanted to wear stuff that is not in the new gear pool, like, I am not at a huge detriment.
Right.
But
Something that gives you like that little bit of edge to like inch out into like the highest tier stuff when you like really need just a little bit more health or a little bit more damage.
Yeah, speaking of damage, so you can see that the max is actually 10%. This is a clarification. We invited some folks into the studio to look through all of this. The original number was 15%. It's actually 10% on your additional damage when you get all your tier 5 weapons equipped. So again, cherry on top, where it kind of gives you that edge, and also it gives you a way, kind of like in earlier releases where you walk out into the tower and you're wearing all your raid gear. You're kind of like peacocking, as y'all have framed it. And now it's, oh, hey, I have all tier 5 gear. This shows, like, not only have I mastered this content, but I've earned a bunch of really cool stuff, gotten all the gear I want, and now I can carry my team through. So, when it comes to the new gear as well, what's the way that you identify that as a player?
Yeah, so if you see that little kind of teal icon in the top left corner of the armor piece, that is going to that's going to tell me that it is in the new gear pool. So it's not only gear from this season or release, but it is also gear. It's like a collection of exotic pieces as well.
Yeah,
So-
we hop into the collections really quick. There's actually a new section that's going to show, here's our featured gear. So if you have some things from previous releases, those are going to be a part of the building, or build crafting as well.
Correct.
A note for any newer players or returning players, some of these things are actually, like, you can go to Xur, try to grab those. You can go into Rite of the Nine. Emissary is going to have a few things like Graviton Lance. That's a great thing to pick up before this new release starts, so then you have a little bit of an edge going in.
Yeah, if y'all screenshot this, you can start hunting this stuff down right now, right?
Yeah, and we will have follow-up blogs where we're going to go line by line. I understand, like, this stream has a lot of data. It has a lot of numbers, that kind of stuff. Big lists of gear. We'll have a full bulleted list, not just in TWIDs, but in patch notes as we
Graviton
keep going.
Lance.
So I think with that, we can go into the artifact as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so the artifact this time around, we're going and we're exploring Kepler. So kind of going with that theme is we wanted this to be kind of like, scout the wild frontier. And so to that end, it's kind of a little longer range weapon-wise than some of our recent artifacts. One of the other themes that we wanted to get was this is gonna be me and my fire team, So if you're scouting solo, we have stuff for solo. If you're scouting as a group, we have stuff as a group. Then lastly is we made this artifact a little more weapons focused than we maybe normally do, because we wanted to kind of highlight that kind of the Guardians kit, kind of down to earth, kind of grit thing. Some of my favorite perks in these are in the fifth column. There's that first one is Radiant Shrapnel. And this is gonna add an additive shrapnel burst when you're killing guys when they're radiant, or when you're radiant, or they are scorched. And I actually really like that we pay out scorched a little, because sometimes you can't quite get that ignition,
So
and
that's going to pair really well with the Warlock exotic that's coming out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can
Golden
scorch a bunch of guys,
gun.
You can cause them to alt burst. It's very cool. The fourth one in this column also is a favorite of mine. It's Tangled Web, and this is going to suspend everyone when you generate a tangle via combat. And normally we do that effect, we reserve that effect for breaking the tangle, right? And now it's on creation, and it leads to a very fun situation where you can just kind of walk up and take it, and you're like, thank you guys, I'll be back. And they can't do anything, and it kind of gets you there faster if you're not using grapple grenade or something.
It works really well with the Hunter Exotic.
It also works really well with the Hunter Exotic. It's lots of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, so there's a question from V Ferrer sorry if I pronounced that wrong, asking, are there going to be more seasonal mods? And with the artifact, you can see next major update, there's going to be another row, as people know. With the featured gear, there's also going to be added exotics to that pool. And Bjorn, I believe we are also making some new seasonal mods that'll be released over time, correct?
Yeah, kind of the same way that we did last season, where we had the Taken theme set of weapon mods. We'll have the same thing for this release's theme. That you can find those out as they come.
Perfect. All right. Well, wow. I believe we are at the end of the stream. Thank you so much for joining us on the couch. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us during this live stream to see what we have to offer. We do have another live stream next Tuesday, July 1st, same time, same place.
Next Tuesday, guys,
Different
July
cast.
1st.
Sorry. I'll invite you back soon. But we're going to be talking Portal power progression. So what are you playing? How are you earning things? How are you getting up to these tier 5s? And also, how are you customizing your experience in the Portal with new Banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff? Just because this is information heavy, as I mentioned, we do have a slate of blog content that'll be coming live. We'll have a recap on Thursday. We have a standalone next Wednesday that'll talk a little bit more about gear tiering. Next Thursday, we'll also have another recap for that stream and additional sandbox information. And then we keep marching into launch with more patch note previews, gear previews, all that kind of stuff. So outside of the full suite of gear you'll be earning on Kepler, bunch of stuff to discover. So thank you so much again for joining. This has been a fun stream. And as we leave, we're going to toss you over to our good friend Fallout. He's going to be talking through a bunch of what we said today. He was one of the creators that we invited to Bungie with hands-on, so he can explain some things. And we'll be collecting questions throughout the rest of the day to answer in the Twit. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
All right, guys, that is the full live stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Did I get my emblem? Let's see. Oh yeah, claim. Okay. Let's. How do you go to your Twitch drops? Drops. Make sure you guys got your emblem. Boom. Yep. All right. Peace. Peace out, guys.